the wrong side of the river, gearheads. I'm Sarah.
Mitch.
Nick.
And we're here to talk about some of the trails and breakage that we see wheeling in the Kawartha Lakes and areas.
Common breakage.
Common breakage that we
Uncommon
see
breakage.
in our Jeeps and uncommon breakage and everything like that. We've already touched on my massive break that I had. And we touched on U-joint shafts, just bearing inner C's, just that was a mess in itself. But that was a very...
Well, we can all agree that
specific
that was
incidents.
because of your illegal combination.
That was completely against my illegal combination. I should have known better. So, but some of the things that we have seen, Nick is... You like doing them at least yearly.
Oh, it's axle seals.
Yeah, axle
it's
seals.
my favorite thing in the world.
I'm pretty sure that you do like doing them.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're cheap ones either.
No, they're not. Not like yours that were on your 30.
No, that's right. My because we did do axle seals on mine a few times, and they're quite different than yours.
Mine are almost a 2-piece.
That's interesting.
2-piece. They got an outer bit and then an inner bit that's just rubber with a spring.
So why isn't it twice the price?
Well, because it is.
It's like they know.
And it's a so I tried ordering off of the Everything store and then again off Rock Auto, I think. And both times I got the wrong one, so
That's it.
Go to the dealer now. Here's my VIN. Give me the right part.
The part
That's
that
right.
fits my
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really, maybe not necessarily breakage on this one, but more about the after effects and potentially long term of what happens when you're playing in water or silt or silty water.
We have that like very specifically like a granular
Yeah, like
mud.
the
Is that like a runoff of anything?
well, it's from the glaciers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all glacial till.
Oh, okay.
So
is that the correct
it's
term
very-
of like the stuff that we wheel in?
glacial till. Well, mostly, yeah.
Okay. So the glacial till has a very good...
It's very sharp
Yes, and has a very good ability of eating seals.
granular, grippy.
and small.
And small. They like to just...
Yeah, the water down here is very silty.
Yeah, it's always tea colored too.
Very silty, very yeah, tea like a
Easily stirred up.
milky tea,
Easy
stirred up.
yeah.
Um,
And then you go
yeah.
play in silt holes and...
it's probably Scotch Line is where I've had the most problem. That one hole in Scotch Line, it seems every time after that, boom, my seals start leaking.
You did get stuck.
It's not a delicate.
Yeah, I did. I'm fully
Yeah, but you got stuck and you sat in it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that...
No, like if
held
I
any-
would have went through, fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But I was sitting there spinning in it and sitting in it. And,
Yeah.
Blending
wonder-
it,
yeah.
then sitting.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's why you didn't have as many issues on, say, something like Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Because you haven't buried and sat. Like, because Crystal's a very wet trail.
Yeah. Oh,
Unless
yeah,
you
super
happen to go on, like, we haven't had rain for 3 weeks and it's not too terrible.
Yeah.
Just the really deep water holes are
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's why, is you don't sit in it as much.
Yeah. But axle seals, when they go, at least on my Jeep, when it goes, like, yeah, you're leaking diff oil, but it doesn't leak fast. You might leave a little spot here and there. So you put a piece of cardboard under your Jeep or whatever.
He likes leaving his marks everywhere.
But you're
Marking my
you're
territory.
mindful of it though, like.
Yeah, well, sometimes if I know about the leak. But you can still, like, it's not a showstopper. You can still drive the Jeep. You just have to be mindful that you're leaking diff oil. And if you are wheeling and you go in water, you have to be mindful that you now have a pathway for water to, if oil's coming out, water's going in. So, change your oil after you.
Change your oil or at minimum check it.
Yeah, minimum check it.
It's it was actually very surprising. Like I remember when it was leaking. I don't know if maybe it was the first time or what, but I remember you'd see a few drops, or maybe you'd see like a small, toonie size puddle, and you think to yourself, "Oh, that must be a lot of oil." And then you take the inspection cover off or the fill plug, and you look inside, and you're like, "No, it's hardly down at all." So
like,
a little bit of oil
you can't
makes
even
a big
put a
mess.
little squirt in because it was overflowing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big surprise for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean, changing them. It's not the hardest job in the world. It's not easy.
But I know you've invented a few tools to make the job a bit easier for yourself.
Seal the deal. No, that's just me being too cheap to buy. What are they? The seal presses or whatever.
driver, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? It's it works.
So a female.
And it works on a Sunday when
when
nothing's
whenever
open. So
yeah.
And you got the time to work on it at that time.
Yeah.
so explain.
It's just a
your
piece of
tools.
exhaust. It's just a piece of exhaust pipe. It's a 2.25 inch, 2.5 inch 2.5 inch outside to inside adapter for exhaust.
It's a big and little.
Yeah, so it's got the big and then the little. So on the big side, is exactly the right size to hit on the lip of the seal.
Nice.
If you get it perfect. So, but if it slips off, obviously you're going to go in that rubber. So I took a 3/8 fender washer, which is just the right size to fit in that 2.5 inch adapter, and just welded it in there. So then you can put it through and then put your rod through and beat it in.
You can actually be confident that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Not just mangling an expensive seal.
Yeah, exactly. On a Sunday when nothing's open.
That's usually how we roll. It has to be Sunday night because we wheeled Saturday, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So I mean, if you're gonna break, you gotta fix it on Sunday.
Yeah. But no, aside from setting the seals is the biggest issue. Getting them set properly and then getting your axles back in.
Well, if they don't go in properly or anything like that, or you have any sort of rollover, as we've learned in the past, it can be quite detrimental pretty quick. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're not cognizant of the fact that axle has to go in and not hit the lip and roll that rubber out.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, you're sliding it in. And if you haven't done a great job cleaning the inside of the tube, you know, and then
that's the other thing too. I think you made up the tool, rebar and a fender washer, right?
And there was even a little bit of a wire. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the rebar one. Yeah. So we welded that rebar. We welded a washer on an angle, so you could use it to scrape and sweep.
Yeah.
And just to get, because like I said, when the oil's leaking, and it mixes with all of our stuff that's in the ground, it creates that
that mud, greasy, oily mud.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because of course there's no real outer seals on those.
Okay. Yeah, it's just exposed.
It's just exposed, and you got the inner seal.
I think on some, it's almost like a dub, not really a seal, but it's those plastic washers.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that it stops the dirt and stuff, but in reality,
it stops the big pieces of dirt from going in.
The stuff that does no
gravel.
It doesn't go in there. Yeah, exactly, gravel. That doesn't actually make it in there anyways.
Yeah. Because, like I said, I've seen it before where I think I even put a set on my Jeep where it was an aftermarket seal.
Yeah, you can get those aftermarket outer seals.
But I think they say it can be a limited time, not limited time, but the effectiveness is limited by how frequently you grease them and how cognizant you are of them. Because they're, I don't know if it's an O-ring, but I think it's a lip seal.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, too, that's not a high. You're not going to be putting hundreds of thousands of kilometers on them, right?
Another fun fact about the 16 JK Dana 30 axle seals is it's the exact same outer diameter as the old TJ Dana 30 front axle seals.
Hey Nick, how did you find that out?
Well, inside the axle size is a lot different. I'll tell you that because you get them seated all nice and they look great, and the axles don't go in.
What is wrong with this thing?
Yeah.
What have I done different?
That was a Friday night, finding that out before I wanted to go up hunting on Saturday.
I remember being really poor timing when you did those.
Yeah. You have a deadline. You have a
That's just it, and I think discovered that it was in fact the wrong seal that I'd gotten through the everything store, and I think Cheryl called up Peterborough Chrysler in the morning because they were the only ones with parts department open on Saturday at the time.
Huge win.
And the parts department's only open till noon, but whatever. We called them first thing, and they happened to have two in stock, so she went down to Peterborough to grab them while I took the brand new bad seals out.
Darn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was meant to be. It's hard to beat the dealer, man. Like you're gonna get the best stuff. Most importantly, it doesn't matter if it's the best or not. If it fits and it works.
Yeah, that's it. I think with seals and stuff, it's
worth you can't cheap out on it. You know, like it's good to buy the good of it.
Well, think about it. The 30, fairly simple axle, right? As far as the components to get to it, you don't have intricate hubs or anything else to get to it, and it takes a while. Like it takes a bit of time. Compared to doing something. Like an alternator, depending on the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's a couple bullets, take a slack off.
And it's intimidating for a lot of people too, because you got to pull the carrier out, you got to pull the axles out. Like if you didn't have that slide hammer, I don't know how I'd get the hubs out.
Yeah, especially the first time.
Yeah, the last time I did it, it wasn't too bad, but that first time it was. I remember fighting with it, and then finally I broke down and grabbed your slide hammer.
You got to think though, it hadn't been taken apart until that point.
No.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, in Ontario.
Yeah.
Definitely, salt is not our friends when it comes to
I
that.
do think that the granular that we ride in or off-road in, I do think there is some form of a salt in it.
Probably.
Do you think there's some kind of... Because
I don't know about
That's it. We have to go
that.
lick some dirt when we go out next.
Because I've got rust on my Jeep that, like, my Jeep's never sees a winter.
Yeah.
No. She's got priority status this year. She's been inside the garage all year.
Hibernating. And then I think even on yours in the sun pot, the JKs, right? They catch everything in the back. Like I said, we oil spray the crap out of yours, and there's still some spots where I'm like, why is this rusted? So
There's residual from the winter, and also they throw calcium on the dirt roads, like on the side roads in the summertime to keep the dust down, right?
okay.
I was
So
just saying
that'll eat it. It's a calcium chloride. It's a salt.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
saying some of you got to think of like our road into Scotch and stuff like that. Think about the fact it wasn't paved for most of the year last year. You know, it was gravel all throughout.
Yeah, small things, eh?
Yeah.
So they're throwing the calcium down.
Yeah.
Fair.
And even if they don't spray it, because a lot of times they'll spray it, right? So it'll be liquefied. If they don't do that, they'll throw the granules down if they're anticipating rain or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple, easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
yeah.
magnesium that's a flake that turns to liquid.
Magnesium?
Yeah, we do it for arenas.
Okay.
They're magged down and then it turns to a liquid and then it
I didn't
gets
know
rid of
that.
your dust.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. Probably use that instead of chloride because then the horses won't eat the sand.
Maybe.
They have a hurting tummy. Okay, so
We're gonna go off topic
Yeah,
here.
I was
I
gonna say,
think
where-
completely. We could jump
Anyways,
off
and
that
then-
cliff really easily.
Yeah, my next adventure is the fucking pinion seal.
Yes, you
noticed
just
it.
discovered you have
Yeah.
a pinion seal leak. So
Yeah, so that's fun. That's again going to be another trip to the dealer because I've went on Rock Auto and there's 7-8 different options and they all look different and they all say they're for the front Dana 30 on a 2016 JK.
yeah,
So
you're not picking a winner.
no,
Like, I don't
no.
You may be a pretty lucky guy, but that's
well, you see, I don't go to casinos for a reason. So.
oh, you're like me, no luck at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's a win. You know, in our case, what, $30, $25, $30, maybe $35.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My axle seals are 60 some odd a piece or 70 bucks
Because
a
ours
piece.
weren't even close to that.
No, and
No, because you guys have a different style of seal than I do. Like I've got
Yeah.
almost a 2-piece. Yours is
single lip.
more like the old TJ style.
No, exactly. That's exactly it. It may not be as effective, but it seems to.
Hold the stuff together though. Like
Yeah.
we only changed the seals, other than when we did the gear swap, just the once for a leak.
Yeah, and it was whatever.
Ironically, it was after the
Scotch.
Scotchline mud hole that you're like, why did you have any problems going through that? I didn't have any problems.
So there you go. Just stay out of that mud hole and the seals will
That's
last
why
forever.
I don't go in that mud hole.
So
Have you ever
everybody
noticed
stay out of the mud hole in Scotch line.
Yes. See if you ever noticed. I've never gone through it since.
It's not overly welcoming. Like you see this every time.
I like the path down to it, and then coming the other way. I like the challenge of coming up because it's all washed out.
Yeah, I like that fact. Like I'm
Yeah.
sad that I don't get that aspect of the trail
Yeah.
to it, but like to blow a seal just to get to that point is
Well,
not
and
worth
the
it.
water is. Last time I got stuck in there, I had 6 inches of water inside my Jeep, inside the tub. Like
Yep.
it was running over the. It was well over the
Because
door.
you've been in there
door.
twice.
I did, yes.
Because there's one. I'm just thinking of the pictures because I
I'm
have
not
one
a smart
where
man.
Brave.
Gary went into the same hole twice.
Yeah.
But no, you had that because I had that one picture of you on the hood.
Yeah, that's when I got
Yeah,
stuck.
and then I have another picture of you on the back because you're standing on the back on the rear tire.
Yeah, and that's when I sent Megan out to bury her arm to hook up the strap onto the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
why
there
I
has
always-
been 2 times.
That's
Because I
why you
know
always
there was
take
once
kids
where
with you in through these mud holes, and you can send them out into the mud.
Sacrificial lambs.
Yeah.
that's usually why I wear capris and stuff like that, or like shorts, because I want to make sure if one of us has to go swimming, it's probably going to be the photographer, because 9 times out of 10 I'm usually running back to get pictures of you guys. So
Yeah, and you're
if
right.
you break, I have to go. I
Yeah.
may be the one who's just
Yeah.
like, hey, she looks wet already because I've been splashed by 6 Jeeps at this point in time. She should swim out to go get that Jeep to hook it.
And you're right there.
No, I'm right there. Yeah. It's convenient, right?
Yeah.
No, I do my best to try not to swim out to Jeeps if I don't have to. We've had a few close calls with a few people, but thankfully we haven't had too many issues. We did have, I know the TJs definitely, like, they should not be in water unless they have a snorkel.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking of the few we had that, like, sucked it right into the airbox and the Jeep runs like garbage for the rest of the time it's out there, you know? And coughing and sputtering and stuff.
Yeah, and same with Cheryl's TJ. It shouldn't go in water. Yeah. Because it's got the cone filter on it.
Well,
so
exactly.
That'll just...
No, there's a reason why you see a lot of snorkels on TJs.
Yeah, you know? You can go. The pickup is high, so you can go into the water, but don't go into it hard.
Don't push a big wave at speed.
You don't need to push a wave.
But 9 times out of 10, most of the TJ owners that we know, they
they send it.
They send it. Yeah. So I feel they should. TJ should just be like, "Do you have a snorkel? No, right then you can't play in puddles because we know how you're going to send it."
You got to watch too. With the TJ, a lot of them have the electric fan conversion.
Yep.
You got your fans turned on. You go into water. Those fan blades don't like pushing water.
No, and then also they. Well, they short out, and then what happens? We have overheating. Remember, we had that one Jeep out with us. It was overheating like crazy.
Yeah, they short out, or they break off a couple of blades, and all of a sudden they're unbalanced. And,
As I said, it stops working.
Yeah.
You know, it shorts out, stops working, then they blow the bottom of the rad out because they overheat.
Yep.
You know? So...
Oh, I forgot about that scenario. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if you were picking up what I was throwing down there.
No. I was thinking about other times, like that Flex-Lite fan that had exploded.
Oh, when we were on Rocktoberfest.
Yeah, they're picking up these little beautiful, like look like little wingtips.
What are these things? And then come across a guy, he's like, oh.
Oh, it was
so
you.
that's where the my spare clutch fan went.
Thanks for being a nice guy.
Yeah.
Think of all the great people that you've helped in the dark.
I think at least he said thank you.
That's good. That's a little bit.
I can't remember if he did for sure, but
I'm sure he did.
There was without.
We'll go with he did.
There was without parting gifts, right?
Yeah.
There was no. Here's a case of refreshments.
No. It was just a. Thanks.
That's how we do things around here, though.
Yes.
Thank you for your help. Refreshments.
Or just thank you for your help. Here you go.
Mm-hmm. No, but I'm trying to. It was when you did the pin, wasn't it? In mine, you did. I thought you did the seals in the snow. Remember? It was.
So that was an kind of an embarrassing overreaction.
Yes. Well, that was a. You and I were having an argument about that. We were pulling a trailer just after we'd done some mods to the Jeep.
The same day. And so we hadn't ran the Jeep after we had worked on it. And then we pulled an empty trailer home. And the trailer was banging and clanging all the way home. Yeah. But we kept having this one like ding, 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 ding. Because it's aluminum trailer. Back gate flexes. And you were freaking out pretty hard. And I'm like, it's the trailer. And you're like, it's the Jeep. We've broken it. And a smart guy would have disconnected the trailer and drove around a bunch more.
That's what I told you to do.
Well, you see, now we've got a lesson for everybody. When you do something, make changes to your vehicle. Take it for a drive.
Yes.
A good long drive and low speed, high speed.
Well, look, even the other day, Alex came to you. Your son's driving your Jeep right now.
Yeah.
And he came to you and he's like, I hear this weird sound.
Yeah.
Well, it's the tires because he hadn't had the windows down before. Because
exactly.
it'd been cold. Because Canada.
Yeah. First nice day, you can hear the tires slapping because I waited too long to rotate them. And then when I did, they still a little cupped. So, yeah.
But that was the sound that he heard, and he was like, I don't know,
I should tell Dad before something breaks and I get in real big trouble.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dad's going to
Smart kid.
Well, not yesterday. Friday night when he came to me, he's like, I didn't know that the tie rod bar was bent. What the fuck are you talking about? The tie rod bar is bent. Yeah. Like, it wasn't bent last time I was under there, and that was before you started driving it. Like,
dun.
Well, he's like, well, it wasn't me. I'm like, well.
How does it drive?
Yeah.
Does it drive in ditches well? Like?
So I went, well, because he's been playing out by the dump.
Found
out where all the mud's coming from.
I just say, when I saw those big things on top, and I'm like, that's not the parking lot. I'm with you on this one.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, did he hit something with speed or something? And I looked at it, and no, that's the factory little do that.
Gotcha.
Like, okay.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah. Okay.
Another
but
one.
yes, the diff is leaking. Thanks for telling me that. So we were talking about seals.
Yep. And the difference is we had to get a round of beer. That's why we had to pause there.
And some sausages.
Mm-hmm. There was some meat was needed.
Meat and yeast.
Meat and yeast. I guess that's where you guys want to go with it today. That's all. Anyways. So some of the other things that you and I are, like, we do it so regularly, is we cycle the rear brakes.
Yeah,
we cycle all the brakes, really.
Try to be mindful of it, yeah.
Yeah,
so
especially...
what's cycling the brakes? I know what it is, but not everybody might know what it is.
Because you're...
Okay, well, think about how you have your caliper, and then you have your caliper pins. Well, sometimes we found that they were kind of sticking up, and the brakes...
Especially going through the mud, and, well, not the mud, the...
Water.
The glacier, the silty runoff.
Yeah, the water lapping compound.
Mm-hmm.
So it would just take a piece of wood, or, you know, if you can fit a C-clamp in there, you just slowly squeeze the caliper back, and you can feel right away if it's a happy caliper or not. If it breaks through nice and smooth and happy, or it takes a little, and then it gets going, then you know that caliper was already on its way out to being very unhappy. And then after you squeeze it back, you release the clamp, and then you would slide the caliper back and forth in its range of travel on the pads. And then you can check the pads and everything else if there's anything in there like sticks or mud or grass.
Rocks. We've had rocks. Yep.
Yeah, we've legitimately had members in our group pull over. Hey, you come on the radio, the walkie-talkie. Hey, there's something really, really screechy or a problem with that. You pull over, you pull out one of the clamps, because Cherokee guys have clamps in their back. And you just squeeze it back, go through the wheel, squeeze it back, and next thing, problem solved.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, so then you would do each individual corner, and after you've done it, if it was smooth right away and the pins feel like they're well lubed, then take the clamp off, pump it back up, that one's done. And if any of the ones feel a little bit growly or grouchy, then you know that you have to do that maintenance soon, whether it be pin maintenance or maybe a caliper's in your future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in a nutshell. And people seem to think it's a little bit crazy, and then it saves them a caliper.
Yep.
Saves them some pounds.
How many people have we heard of that don't do that? And after they go wheeling, like a few times for summer, they were changing calipers way more than they should be.
Yeah. And then you say to yourself, like, we run a lot of the same trails. We hit a lot of water. I hate to say it.
Oh yeah, we do.
Definitely hit a lot of water. And then in some cases, our Jeeps sit a lot. You know, like maybe not a lot, but you know, we go.
Mine does.
We go and we do.
Well, I was just say yours does.
You know, it's running all day. That's fine, but it sits in the water, and it goes not sits in the water, but it runs through the water. Maybe a little bit of mud or silt. It's an hour and something away. You know, we stop for coffee. We come back. It gets a good run. Then it sits for 2 or 3 days. Well, I'm pretty sure that a warm bearing or a warm surface that has that gets in contact with water and then sits, that's a recipe for rust.
Yeah.
So the fact that every now and again you cycle your stuff, you know, like, oh, I got a bit of a squeak, cycle the calipers.
Well, also 2 JKs in the rear are prone for doing calipers in.
I don't know why that is, but it's something that we've seen and we've experienced.
And our friends, like members in our group, have experienced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had a few people.
I have.
Yeah.
I changed mine almost 200,000 kilometers. It was.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Not unexpected, but.
We had Jonathan had an issue with his rear brakes. You know, and we had to take them all apart, clean them because they started to hang up.
Yeah. I imagine this time of year too has got to be really harsh because you've had the winter, and
nobody wants to do that maintenance in the wintertime.
Yeah.
No. And not the salt and everything like that, daily driving and everything. Like it's a recipe for.
Yeah, and you can't really oil your brakes.
It's strange. They don't.
They become a little ineffective.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
No.
And I guess it's a little off topic, but one thing we noticed with the big truck, which has a similar suspension geometry and a similar braking system to the JKs, is the long flex line. And the way that they had routed the long flex line is that it goes underneath and it bolts to the axle. Well, we talk about rust, right? Well, that clamp is just like a little fist bolted here. Well, that fist had rusted and squeezed around the brake line.
Yeah. So
we had bought the line. We're looking at changing it. And I heard somewhere someone was mentioning, actually, one of the guys in the group had mentioned, hey, you know, maybe you should look at the line itself. So we start looking at it and say, okay, well, where is it going? Okay, there's a little bit of rust there. Let's just open that bracket up. Well, just open that bracket up, knock the rust out, which doesn't sound very good, but just knock the rust out back and forth. And next thing you know, the caliper's fine, the hose is fine, and down the road you go, and you say to yourself, like...
So it was just a rust scale building up and clamping that flex line.
It, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is wild, eh?
So whenever you're in that situation, think of the whole system.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely had it before where I was working on some silly car and it was a master cylinder out of all things that was failing. The lines were okay, the caliper was okay, but it would damn near light that brake on fire. The neon didn't really like powering through it very well, but in all fairness, it ended up being just a master cylinder. And I think at that time I just got a a master cylinder from like the wrecking yard or something.
Yeah. Back when wrecking yards had parts for things.
Yeah, now it's just a big recycling giant, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's what happens when scrap steel goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Things become valuable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No,
So...
we had the... So we did that, absolutely, because your biggest fear of that was you were worried you were going to have to do brake lines.
And that was the biggest problem.
Because that was his big thing of the fact he was going to have to run new brake lines. So he's like, I don't want to do it because then, like, it's something that I have to commit a day to and everything like that. So definitely, as you said, keep an eye on the whole entire system. You know, like, just think about it. Yeah. You know? Work your way through it.
Stand back and kind of look at it and say, okay, this is all connected. Where's my problem? And that brake had been a bit of a problem. And
It had been a problem for a while. It was definitely one that was getting hot.
So speaking of brakes... and going back to Jeeps and whatnot, you want to touch on the calipers falling off of JKs?
Yes, they are fantastic at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely fantastic at doing that. They spit caliper bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have had one personally on a Rubicon. We had that one.
A borrowed Rubicon.
That
was sweet.
So what happened is that my we were doing the 10 swap on my Jeep. We had paid for an event to go to. And unfortunately, my Jeep was still missing its drive shafts. It had Bluetooth drive shafts. They weren't ready yet.
Blame the mechanics.
Well, we had to finish it and measure, and then they were like, oh yeah, we can do it. And it was middle of haying season, and the guys were fucking swamped. And
they sold the drive shaft kits. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Well, anyways, it took them a while to get the drive shafts in. So my Jeep that was built, that was going to be ready for this event, wasn't. So I did borrow someone's Rubicon to run the event. And then I was commenting to you when we were on the trail. I'm like, I have no brakes, man.
Something, because they can usually, like, the Rubicons definitely want to power through the brakes.
Well, that's what I figured. I hadn't driven it because it was on 37s, you know.
513s,
513s. The last time I drove it was on 35s. You know, I hadn't had it in low range. I was driving it on the street. So I was just like, oh wow, this thing is like really wants to power through this. You know, it was an issue constantly because even going downhill, I felt like I was just like, it was just going to let go.
Having to pop it in neutral to...
Yeah, there was quite a bit. I was doing a lot of neutral shifts because I was like, I can't get it to stop pushing.
That's unnerving.
It was unnerving. I'm pretty sure I had one of the kids with me too. No, I didn't. I didn't have the kids with me.
They were in the Cherokee?
No, they weren't with us at all.
No, they weren't with us.
They were with Grandma and Grandpa?
Yeah.
And we had a date?
Kind of. Yeah, we had a stressful date.
Well, it was okay till the damn bolt fell out.
Yeah, it was when the bolt fell out when we discovered that, because I think I was like, dude, I have no brakes.
I think the bolt...
Well, we were on the road going out.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have no brakes, have to check it out, hear a noise. And sure enough, the caliper was touching the rim.
It was rim. It ran the inside of the rim.
Yeah. And thank goodness that you were mindful of that noise, because the caliper can only take so much wear. And the inside of the rim, not designed for wear.
Yeah, well, definitely not for that sort of wear, too. You add in gravel and stuff like that, and the silts that could have possibly been jammed in between. Like, we did get it sorted and got it back to its owner. Because
in all fairness, you still had the actual threaded bolt that was there. And then we had another one that acted as a pin.
Yeah.
I forget how I think it was either threaded in. It was too long or something. Because we ended up threading it in, but it wasn't providing any clamping. But then again, it just had to be there to keep it from falling out.
Well, thankfully, where we were wheeling to where it needed to go was a very short distance.
Oh, it was kilometers. Like, it was...
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad at all. But no, like, that was a thing. We had a known person to the club. We had his wife lose a caliper bolt. Remember that? She had a JK. She wrote it. It was written off though in an accident. But I remember it was the middle of a long weekend, and he's like, "Hey, do you have any caliper bolts?" And I'm like, "How do you lose a caliper
white one with
bolt?"
The white one with the teal star.
Yeah, she lost a caliper bolt in the middle of the weekend.
Oh, and he was Mr. Rear Calipers at least once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calipers and bearings. Those were his.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I know all, see all.
Yeah, it turns out that there's a right amount of torque. There's actually they give you numbers, but yeah, like.
But even going back to that, we had a group member have a caliper bolt go missing the other day.
On the road.
Yep.
Yeah,
really?
The 2-door with the orange.
Oh.
Yeah, he had one that was lost.
Yeah.
So we've
I have
definitely.
a sway bar bolt that's just gone.
just gone.
Who knows where that went?
And it had a lock nut on it.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it's better if you take it off road without a sway bar. Yeah, here, look over there.
Yeah.
Dad won't know. I don't know where it went, Dad.
Yeah.
Well, I prefer sway bar to that track bar bolt when we had the first blue one out.
Oh yeah.
Track bar? Who was that?
That was on the first time they had the 33s and aluminum wheels on Scotch Line, and we were airing up. And someone noticed. It was like,
that's gone.
hey, Mister, something wrong.
Oh wow!
And
is that when we had to winch them over sideways to
And the nut was still there, the captured flag nut.
Yeah.
And somehow he had a bolt or something.
No, the bolt it had just fallen out, and the bolt was there. He picked the bolt up off the ground. He's like, "Oh shit! Oh shit!" Yeah.
Wow. I don't
know who we're talking about right now, to be completely honest.
Oh. I thought you knew all, seen all.
I do know and see all, but I'm missing details. So, what color was it? What color was the Jeep?
This one was originally supposed to get a 5.9 Cummins, and then
Oh yeah, okay, I know who it is. I thought that's who it was, but when I don't think of his color as that color.
It's blue.
I think of it as mud.
Oh.
So that was I was like blue, and I'm thinking royal blue, and I'm like, I don't know anybody with
Yeah, who's got a royal blue Jeep? Yeah.
Well, it was a little bit of a moment where I was like, I don't know.
But I must say that I don't know if it was the angle or if it was your patience, but very delicate. No, I think it was on his Jeep he used the winch, right? Near. And to get it just tugged towards.
It was either his Jeep or my Jeep. One of ours. He was either hooked to me or I hooked to him. I can't remember which one. I've got a picture of it.
Okay. But
he's also really good at spitting springs, though, too. Because he flexes and he needs limit straps. That's what that man needs.
Or maybe bump stops that'll help hold the springs in place, too.
No, they're overrated.
It could be exactly why they're that length and they have that little plate on top.
Yeah.
I think we figured that out.
Yeah.
Last year or year before, I forget.
Year before.
Where's the time gone?
Oh gosh, we've been wheeling for a long time together.
Yeah.
We really have, and we've had a lot of adventures in that time.
Well, was it when we moved here in 15, and then we met you in 16?
No, was it 16?
No, I think it was 17.
No, we weren't here a year before I met you.
We were here a while before I decided I was like, that's it, I gotta make him my friend.
I think it was the Christmas of 16.
Well, Christmas of 16, you brought me the popcorn.
Oh yeah, so that would have been the time when I was just like breaking the ice.
Yeah, because you have a cool Jeep.
Yeah.
And we have a Jeep.
Yeah, we gotta be friends.
Yeah.
And now look.
Now we're friends.
It's just like, I regret every decision I have made since then.
Yeah, there is no escape.
I was thinking even back to when we've had one person on the trail who, just going back to your swig. That's quite a face.
What? Sorry, I was just blinking.
Oh. You had quite a face going on there for a second. I was like, are you regretting all of our decisions?
Like,
well, too late for that now, motherfucker.
Started with popcorn.
I lured him in with candied sugar, salty goodness. No,
it's like you knew me.
Right? So I was thinking back to the sway bars because we had one person come out and wheel with us. And it was his first time out, semi-modified. And he's like, oh, I gotta take sway bars off. And I'm like, do you have any brake lines? Like, are you running stock brake lines? Like, what are you doing with this? He's like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. And weren't even that off kilter. And I looked at him and I'm like, sweetheart, I need you to put your sway bars back on. Because do you see your brake lines? And they were just, like, hanging on. That
like you could play a tune on them?
Oh, if he had dropped down an inch, it would have just ripped that whole entire thing out. So that is something that it's like...
That you gotta watch. I know with mine, when I run with anytime I'm off-road, the sway bars are on. But whenever I put my lift on, I didn't put the keeper back on for the flex line just to give it that little bit extra. And with that little bit extra, it's enough for the 2.5. But any bigger lift, you need different flex lines.
Right, and longer flex lines too. Like I'm pretty long on mine that we have on now. I can't remember how long they were though. I can't remember how long you ordered them.
I think they're like Dodge 2500 for like an 06 or something.
But you know what the nice thing about blowing a flex line on the trail is?
Vice grips and
you
vice
can
grip and zip ties somewhere else. And
then the thing is you
can get off the trail.
You could wheel all day, legitimately.
Oh yeah.
Get back to the trailhead, call CAA, and just have a picnic.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely. But it's still something if you're going to go wheeling and it's, you're starting out and, you're just like, oh, what am I going to be experiencing? Well, you should think about axle seals. Don't bury yourself in the mud around here. You know, you're going to spit seals. And we've had members who are just like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
And they've spit seals.
And also watch your evap canister.
Oh yeah, you're really good at it. Yeah, you're really good at your evap canister, aren't you?
Well, it's in a stupid spot. It's not protected. Like yours is even worse for not being protected.
Well, I haven't had any problems though.
No, I did because somebody sent me through somewhere I had no business being.
I have no idea who that was.
But anyways, but you can drive without an evap. It's just when you're in water, you'll suck up.
Yeah, and then you keep pulling over on the side of the road because your Jeep's running like garbage. I have no idea what's wrong, dude. That's so weird.
It's not a steam engine.
It doesn't run on water. Of course, it was the farthest trail that we, on average, normally run. So. And
I think too, it was a terrible day. It wasn't a very nice day.
It wasn't a nice day. I was sitting, and that's when I got stuck in that stupid hole. I couldn't rev over 3,000 RPM. But that was just because turns out there was water sucked up into my gas.
Yeah.
So.
That's awful.
But yeah, and then
I guess I was gonna say, breakage wise,
axles like you gotta watch if you're riding a TJ, you got the good strong 35.
I was gonna say if you got a rubber plug in your axle, drive nicely.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, I hate to say that, but in all fairness, when you see our amigo bounce, and he's the first one to put himself out there, he's the first one to go for this obstacle hard, and it's like bounce, break.
He's getting pretty good though.
Yeah.
Because he's already bounce, broken.
No. But he's like, you gotta think of how he's wheeling the new Jeep. The
new Jeep's more capable, so he doesn't have to go.
But he bounced once, and he threw the clutch in. He's like, we're not braking here.
And the new tires don't quite have the same bite to them. They're more of an all-terrain.
I always like pictures of them, but seeing them in person, I don't know about them.
RTS? No. It's the
Toyo Open Country. No, are they the Toyo Open Country RTs, or are they the Nitto Grappler?
That's going to be some...
I say we'll have to get back to you on that one, because I don't know what tires are on it. I've only seen the Jeep once.
I'm thinking a little Japan, and you're thinking a little America.
Mm-hmm. They're America.
Yeah.
But they might be the Open Country RT.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But
those... It still does pretty freaking good on the trails, even with whatever tires.
They're front rear lock with a 4-to-1 case.
Yeah, well...
Like I would expect it to do well.
Yeah.
And he's put a lot of time into that, making it better and better. Can't wait to see that thing out on the trail again this year.
I'm excited to see it out on the trail. I'm really hoping that we see Becky behind the wheel again this year.
I don't think she's going to bring hers.
No, not hers.
Oh.
But I mean, I'd love to see her behind the wheel twisted.
Oh, yeah.
Like I would love to see her on the ladies' run this year, in the wheel twisted.
Between her and her husband, they each have a Jeep. She doesn't need to drive mine anymore.
But you're the best brother in the world.
I know, but I was just like, I remember when she was driving her Jeep, I'm like, wow, Becky, I went, this suits you. And I'm like, I think you should ditch the car hunter and get a Jeep. Oh no, we'll never get another Jeep. I drive too much. And then when Gary's like, hey, so we bought another Jeep, and I'm like, I thought you weren't going to do that. Actually, a few weeks ago you said you weren't going to do that. He's like, I didn't say that. Screenshot. Excuse me. Okay, I might have said that.
So how about a JL 6-speed?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. It's fun to drive. We've all driven it.
It is.
It really is a nice Jeep.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm into it.
And she gets. I know it's stupid in a Jeep, but she gets great fuel mileage with it. Mm-hmm. She can get that thing down below 10.
Wow.
10 liters per 100 kilometers. So I think she sent me a picture. It was like 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers.
Oh, those numbers just sound dandy.
Yeah, that's
I am not close to that.
Well,
there's a little difference between yours and hers.
Yeah, about 2,500 pounds. And about 90 horsepower, 80 horsepower.
Jeepers is a big girl. She's a big girl. She's got a wide ass.
Push a little more wind.
It's like running with a piece of plywood.
I was going to say, there's blown yokes. We busted the axle shaft.
Yeah, axle shafts, yokes. Like, that's... Axle shafts and yokes, you can avoid it. Yeah.
But I mean, like, TJ's, we discovered that, like, to get the kit to rebuild it is not that terrible.
Sorry, Mila, for what?
Rebuild the drive shaft and stuff like that. Like, we did that one.
It all depends
Actually,
on what...
the one that's in Tricks right now, we rebuilt that one.
Yeah, so that centering... Thank you. The CV joint, like that.
It was
ball
the
joint.
slipped end. It was
it was the slip end?
Yeah, so you just pull the pin out, slide the thing on.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, the one with the ball and the stick, whatever, in the double carded, it's about $100 just for that.
Okay. And then you're there, so you're like, I might as well put new joints in.
Yeah. So you're, what, $40 a joint?
Yeah. It's
Jeeping is expensive.
It's not cheap.
Just empty every pocket.
I also have 2 drive shafts in my shop, front drive shafts in my shop that need to be rebuilt. One that is a spare that I'm not sure of the state of it. It seems all tight and everything, but it's out of an old parts Jeep. And then the other one needs to be rebuilt.
Sorry, these were front shafts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they already have the double card? Okay. Because I do have delusions of getting one of those Tiger tools. It's like the little pickle fork and it's got the thumb.
That'd be nice.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Cat's meow.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
We do have like a dream tool list.
U-joints, you got to pay attention to those because you're in the water and the mud and the silt
greasing
and
them.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Grease them if they're greasable. Grease them if they're not greasable. Just keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's something that we even try to be mindful of yours. Like, just try to get underneath there and get that center pin, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so easy to just be like, grease, and then there's silly flush mount ones. So you have to get the needle that's just right in the right spot or the, you know. So, and then where's the grease go?
Yeah. Just say mine's not exactly a 2-second job. So.
And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, like, I'll either jack up the rear and I turn the drive shaft so it's right in the right spot. Okay, now do it, or do I back the Jeep up? Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah, and same with like your end links on your control arms. If you've got aftermarket arms, chances are they're greasable to some extent.
Yeah.
Keep them full of grease. Even stock arms, just keep an eye on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because like you said, the stock arms are great for a stock application, but as soon as you slightly modify them, are they going to be okay?
Yeah.
Have they seen more range of motion?
Mm-hmm.
Take the sway bar off, that rubber's moving a lot farther than it ever was meant to.
Yeah.
Well, even we see that yellow one that needed them to rebuild because she never greased them, and she didn't off-road it.
Yeah, that was just street
driven, winter driven, and like you could hear them
Were they Heim?
They were rough country.
I would say they were a rough country, but I can't remember. I don't think they were Heims.
No, they were similar design to yours, where it's got the 2 pieces of poly as the bushing, and then the center Heim, like you said, center ball.
Yeah.
So not quite. But
so
yes.
they need regular grease.
And then whoever sold them to her and put them in, maybe didn't inform her.
Yeah.
So when she's pulling away, and she's sitting in the driveway, you know our driveway is a little bit of a slope. Yeah. And I say to her, like, hey, just slip the clutch a little bit and just starts pulling away. And I'm like, hey, put the clutch in. And you see the axle bop, 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 bop. And it's going back and forth and pinions rising. You're like, you know, they're worried about the cross member. And you and I are like, your rear arms are done.
There are a few things here that are not what you're thinking. Yeah. So
I think that was a Columbia edition, which was kind of cool. Like, it was beautiful. Beautiful Jeep. Clean.
It still is.
But yeah, regardless of how clean something is, if it's not maintained, it don't matter, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, exactly.
So, yeah.
But overall, I say we haven't really had a lot of breakage. We haven't had a lot of issues. I feel like
not a lot of catastrophic breakage.
Not a lot of catastrophic,
little things like you got to watch your lines if you're running into trees or like
a little bit.
And
of body
even
damage
watch your try and avoid it. But like if you're going over an obstacle and you get off camber, you gotta be cognizant of where your roof is.
Absolutely.
I've seen people crack their hard tops because they're not paying attention to that.
Well, that's my biggest thing when people have hard tops on, is I'll pick a different line that will keep you away from those situations, or you're taking the bypass because I can't trust you not to wreck it. You know, like we have newbies coming with us. We ran a few newbie runs last year, and that was one of our things of like, I have to make sure that I don't want these brand new Jeeps to have damage, because no one, I mean, like even now, I don't want to have damage. No. I die a little bit inside when I scrub my soft top.
I don't want damage. Like I embrace it. If it happens, I embrace it, but I don't want it.
No. Yeah, like it's bound to happen. Like you punched the door on mine. You gave her that nice little whiskey scar. Yep. But I mean, I don't.
Yeah, and he ran into mine.
Yeah.
With my Jeep.
Yeah, with your
yours.
Jeep. Yeah.
I still can't believe the timing of that.
Awful. The
and
Jeep waited till I was there.
I was just saying, it sat there the entire time. And just as you were less than 5 feet away from it.
You were close enough to try and stop the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she kissed you in the front.
Yeah.
So I still owe you a decal, though, I feel, for the tailgate.
For the tailgate, yeah.
Because you got kissed on our bag, right? Yeah. Nick
So,
likes to document, so all of his dents have a date and what it was.
Yeah.
That caused said dent.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got that nice whiskey scar down the passenger side, and I got that rail ripped off, and it tore the body a little bit, and that wasn't a good time, I think, for anybody. I was pregnant at the time. I was not in the Jeep because I couldn't drive, and I was down below because I was really close, I feel. Mm-hmm. And I was just down below, and I was just watching my Jeep just being destroyed, being dragged up this mountain.
Yeah,
I was like,
you were having a hard time with that.
It was a really emotional, hard time for me.
Yeah.
I just remember like bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, they're wrecking my shit.
That might have been the icing on the cake when it came to trusting people that don't know or care about us.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're very particular on who we run with, and that's why our group numbers are so small, because we know all of our members so intimately. That sounded wrong. We know our members well enough that we know who we can trust to spot. Yeah. You know, 9 times out of 10, it's Mitch and I who spot. Just because we're the ones who are usually out of the Jeep and running the
You're
beginning.
Usually leading, and one of you is leading.
Yeah, and usually you're bringing up the rear of the group because you're our little sheepdog.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'm the shepherd out the front. Come this way.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of being aware of the person's ambition, maybe their limitation, their Jeep's limitation, and then just being a little bit mindful of the lines.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well, this jagged, pointy rock maybe could cause a problem. So
it'll probably take out your evap.
Yeah.
Well, look when the 4-door JL got stuck on Forest.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, hey, let's winch him. I look under, I'm like, nope, we gotta get this back end up, because he was that close to taking out his evap.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that like, well, even 4 doors to 2 doors. You know, I know our 2 doors with 2 inches of lift can go certain areas that our 4 doors with 2 inches of lift, whether it be a JK or a JL, can't do the same line.
Couldn't dream about.
Yeah.
No, because they have such a different angle to come at things.
That wheelbase is like amazing. What a difference.
But it's such a. I have to admit, like, spotting is definitely an art, and you really have to work with the people that you know. And as you said, you have to work with what their Jeeps can do and what they can do. Because I would love to put people on hard lines.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you can drive, I know you can.
Yeah.
But then you sit there and you're like, this is your daily. I don't want you to take those lines.
Yeah.
You know, because if something happens and you hit it at the wrong time, aka me, shit goes sideways pretty fucking quick. As you said, rip off an evap canister. That's going to suck driving home.
Canister, or worst case scenario, roll it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get yourself into a situation where you're going over.
Well, and then we've had it before where we're looking back up the trail, like say for instance, Goodrum, and there's that one kind of washout section where there's a bit of a hard kind of embankment, like it's stone, but it's like not a cliff, but it's And I'm looking up, and I'm like, the two nicest latest model Jeeps, the JLs, they were testing out like the there's that feature on the dash where it tells you the incline.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, from the distance, I'm thinking these people are crazy, And then and he's like, oh, it wasn't even in the red, and I'm like, buddy, it looked like you were going to be wearing some of that roof on the ground.
Well, normally I sit up on that ledge, and if they get too close to me, I'm just like, how about we turn the other way?
So. it's not like you're policing, but you're trying to say, hey, like,
I want everybody to come home with a drivable vehicle and be happy with their experience.
Yeah. So since we're talking about braking and whatnot, what should you carry for tools? In my toolbox, I'll tell you what's in my toolbox. I've got a basic ratchet socket set.
Yep.
I've got a basic set of wrenches that are metric because everything on my Jeep's metric.
Why carry Freedom wrenches, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've got vice grips, pliers, zip ties. What else? I bring my impact because I got a battery impact. I bring my grinder because I got a battery grinder, and a hammer and a mallet.
And I'd say
a pry bar.
I was gonna say, and that's well prepared.
Yeah. I was just saying,
and that's a lot because I have the space.
Yeah, I was just say, do you want to go what's in the back of the X-Ray?
Yeah, so I have kind of random fluids that I can mix for everybody. Take a little ATF, gear oil, brake fluid, power steering fluid, all the stuff that can leak out when you're on your side. Of course, like I said, clamps. I got a big pry bar because for whatever reason, I don't know why I had this great big pinch bar because I just carried it. Sometimes if you want to move a stone,
it's great for moving a stone, or if you throw a bolt on the track bar, you got to line that axle back up.
Thanks. And
wait a minute.
And I have a sealable ammo can.
Yeah.
I haven't really had anything that we've had to bring back, but if there was ever an instance where I had to bring something back, then you got it. Battery, cables, compressor. Things like that.
Yeah, I have compressor too. Yeah.
You carry your high lift with you.
Yeah, that's right.
And now that's another thing. That's a whole other episode.
That's a whole other episode of
should you have a high lift
of recovery gear?
Yeah.
But as far as like tools go, I mean, I have a breaker bar. I have a basic socket set. I have an inflatable jack that runs off the exhaust.
Mm.
I'm trying to think I have a bunch of tools. I have vice grips. I have zip ties.
I think we always have
You have that socket kit.
I was just saying I have the ratchet. I have my a socket set.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of. I have my little cubby.
Yeah.
And it is full of tools.
I know.
And for the life of me right now, I cannot think. of
I got
in my
screwdriver
cubby.
Set.
Oh, there you go.
A full screwdriver set.
Nice.
I was gonna say, but no matter what,
there's a couple of wrenches in mine.
Yeah.
Big wrenches.
It's kind of a careful balance because not everyone runs a trail every time, but not everybody needs all the tools.
No.
Yeah.
So like I said, if you have a general basic small little set, and then this guy's here and he has this, and this guy's here and he has that, then you can almost take a Jeep apart on the trail with everyone's tool.
Yeah.
Especially like I said, if you've taken it apart before and you know it's going to come out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd really like to make you remember. We're gonna go back a little bit. You remember those? Did your grandmother ever have the cross stitching sets where you have all the threads and they'd be in little individual cutouts in a plastic jar? Yeah, like a tackle box. Yeah. Okay, well, there's plastic ones that you can move. All right, maybe a tackle box.
It's a tackle box.
It's a tackle box for men. My grandmother used it for threads. Anyways, so I'd really like to get that. I know you and I have discussed it.
Yeah.
About having caliper bolts. Maybe some lug nuts. And just stuff that we see broken on the trail.
Yeah.
Sway bar bolts, because apparently Nick loses them. Or does Alex?
Alex loses them.
He's not here defending himself, so it's not.
I drove it for 2.5 years without sway bar hooked up. And then he started driving it, so I hooked the sway bar up for him.
Oh, you wanted him to... Well, would you say you'd win in a race against me? I don't have sway bars in the, rear, in the front. Yeah. I have one in the rear. But yeah, you can definitely take corners faster than I can.
Well, not anymore.
Well, no, not anymore. No. But I would love to have a little tackle box just full of bolts that we see, but regular things that we see averagely that is being lost or broken that is easily replaceable.
Yeah. Even a banjo bolt for the front calipers or
exactly.
rear calipers, something, because if that could get sheared off, you never know.
Yeah, I think it
would
be something that you and I should start working on building. We're usually pretty good at.
Yeah.
When we set our mind to building a kit, we're pretty good at building one up. So.
That's true.
And
just being aware of the threads and the pitches and stuff, or actually get the right stuff to begin with.
Yeah, I think I'd get the right stuff to begin with.
It'd be really great if they actually had JKs in wrecking yards, but they just don't go there.
They don't go there.
I don't know. There's one that I keep sending your direction that I'm like, hey, so I see it still has a computer and wiring harness.
That's that 09 manual, the 4-door.
There's an 09 manual in Peterborough.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I would like its computer and wiring harness.
Well, go get it.
He doesn't want me to get it.
Go get it. He works. He's home all day.
I'm home all day, Jesus. I wish I was home all day.
Yeah, Baileyboro. It'd be nice to just go out there.
Oh, I can pick it up for you. I drive through Baileyboro every day.
It is a U-pull, though. And it's not a U-cut, because you need to use the thing after.
No.
It's just like,
It would be a lot of fun to go out there and take
Look at him. I see what you mean, though. He's like, every opportunity, there's a roadblock.
There is a roadblock. If it was a 2011, I bet you we would already have it and be back here already.
It's a no-brainer, yeah.
I
because
think
I don't know how different they are.
Yes.
But that brings up another thing: electrical connections in your little tackle box.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, even think about the fan in the X-Ray when we started wheeling it.
And it just quit.
It just quit. So it's a piece of wire with a clamp.
Gator clip.
Yeah, gator clip.
Roach clip.
Roach works.
Clip.
That's something we should probably sort out.
No, the wiring is not something you want to piss around with. That's something you want to make sure is just tight.
Yeah, but
so that's I can't wait to start delving into that, and then that can be another little segue or maybe a little offshoot.
Actually, we definitely have to start working on the wiring of that. But I just
having that knowledge and having that experience is huge. Right?
I just briefly want to touch on. So last night, our daring Nick decided to drive home from Guelph in a TJ that had not been driven in some... Well, it didn't get moved last year, did it?
Nope, it moved last year.
So it was sent down to Guelph to one of our members.
To our TJ specialist.
Excuse me, to our TJ specialist.
TJ Tech.
Who did his magic and has given you the all clear that it's ready to come home, and you drove it home last night.
I drove it home.
One of our members drove you down there, was going to go visit his son, and then you drove it home.
It worked out great, and I drove it home, and it was a...
what did you say? A Jeep experience.
It was a very Jeepy experience. So it ran great, and like no problems with it running. It ran great, but I only lost power to the gauge cluster twice, which was nice. The speedo I found out is 10 to 15 kilometers an hour off.
Nice.
Is it reading faster than you're traveling?
So it's reading slower than I'm traveling.
So you're speeding.
So I had GPS on the phone up to get out of Guelph the back way because there's no way I'm taking that on the 401.
No, weird.
So it shows you the speed, and I'm like, oh, I'm up to speed already. I look down and I'm only doing 70, and I'm up to 85.
Wow.
Like, oh, okay, keep that.
That's
in mind.
good to know.
Yeah, that's good to know. And then what else? Well, it darts. Like the steering is tight. Like all the ball joints are good. The bearings are good. The tie rod, like all the bar ends are good. Track bar, steering box is good. The intermediate shaft in the steering is good.
All the wearable items.
Everything to do with the steering is good. Only thing that's not good now is the control arms. The bushings are pretty well shot.
But you have control arms.
I have control arms for it. But the byproduct of that is that it drives nice and straight, but it darts.
Gotcha.
So
it stays put until it doesn't.
Exactly. So you really you have to drive it. You can't just point it. Yeah. You have to drive it.
I think that's pretty much a Jeep thing.
Yeah, and then it doesn't go over 90. Well, I'm sure it could, but it doesn't like it.
3-speed auto, right?
Yeah, 3-speed auto. So, and then it was raining.
I was just saying,
wipers.
It's been raining pretty hard the last few days. So
the wipers work great, but the roof leaks at every corner that it can. So
it's a Jeep thing.
Yeah, I really got the full Jeep experience driving that home. Although the headlights are terrible, but
it's a Jeep thing.
Yeah.
I remember when we borrowed your Jeep there for a while, and we were coming home from Bob Cage, and it was dark. It was coming home from my parents' place, and I was like, Mitch, I can't see where I'm going. I have the high beams on and I can't see. And I'm like, I think we should just take our phones and just shine them at the thing, and it may give us a little bit more light. And you're just, that was like the whole thing. You were like, did you do it? I would have.
Yeah.
And I swear I read an article one time of talking about taking JK factory headlights and swapping them into TJs as an upgrade.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is garbage.
What I can't believe is that from the factory, that is sufficient.
Right?
To be safe on the road. because you can't see.
My friend had a 2016 two-door as well.
Yeah.
And that was her thing. She's like, oh, I remember the high beams on all the time. No one ever flashes me.
No.
Because they're not bright enough.
No.
And like she was definitely new to the Jeep world. I think she only owned it about 8 months before she went into a different vehicle.
Yeah.
We have horses, so she went into a different vehicle more adequate for her lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was her thing. Of like, she's like, I hate driving this thing at night because it has no headlights.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think it was that bad until like I drove my dad's a few times.
Yeah.
And I didn't think the headlights were terrible with stock.
Yeah. Because you have LEDs in yours. You're nice and spoiled.
Yes, I do have LEDs, but I didn't have LEDs to start. We put these.
Yeah, but
LEDs
you forgot how bad they were.
Yes, I did forget how bad they were, and then when we I drove yours, and I was quite traumatized by the experience. But you did get home in daytime, though.
Yeah.
At least,
yeah.
So you weren't driving in the rain at night.
No.
Like that would have been terrible. I feel.
Yeah.
So.
Not good.
No.
Not good at all. Or the rabbit trail going into Ardbeg with those headlights. Oh my gosh! Unless you have someone running ahead of you.
If you're doing that, it does have the ditch lights that you.
Oh, that's true. You do have the ditch. I forgot about those. But yeah, Willie doesn't have those.
No, Willie does not. No. So, but yeah, it was a good drive. It's a regularly 2.5 hour drive. I think it took me a little over 2.5 hours.
I thought I don't know.
And I stopped for dinner.
I don't know exactly when you left or anything like that because we were chatting before you left and you told me when you got home, which I mean, I don't know about you. You don't pull in the driveway and be like, I got home. You're going to get out. You're going to chill and stuff like that.
No, so I got out, went in the door. I'm like, hey. And then I texted Gary because he wanted to know. He wanted to make sure.
Our TJ
and
expert.
And then I texted you.
He will be joining us on our show, by the way. We're really looking forward to that.
Because I had a plan if something happened.
Yes.
If I didn't make it to Orangeville yet, like Orangeville Newmarket area, that was my cutoff. If I was before then, I was calling Gary. If I was after then, I was calling you.
And what did I say to you? I'm like, absolutely, we would come save you. I'd laugh at you, and then I'd help you out.
Yeah.
Because that's what friends do.
In all fairness, there's not much you couldn't fix on that.
No, it's just, can I do it on the side of the road? Right then and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if the fuel pump clips, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do.
Yeah.
No. But still would have driven all the way out there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Let's call you a tow truck.
Let's get you home.
Yeah.
He would do the same for me. It's the same when, like, he has video footage of me being pulled up the hill. You know, there's pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, I have pictures of you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like...
Well, that one day in the wintertime, you're like, so, what are you doing?
Oh, yes.
I'm like, I'm driving up north. Why? You were almost stuck.
I was temporarily slowed down.
Temporarily slowed down.
In a driveway ditch or the driveway drift?
A driveway drift. I was going up a hill in this huge drift. It pretty much engulfed my 35s.
I was halfway through a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
And if you said you were stuck, I would have turned around and come back.
There's been a few times. And actually that exact same place.
We would have been setting up a whole film crew. But.
Well, that exact same place. I remember you had left somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had been hanging out with me. I think I did my stuff and I was getting ready to head out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and check those fields back there. I want to go see what's going on out there. And there was this river. And it was completely stirred up. And I sat there for a few minutes and I went, how deep is this river? And I'm like, all right, we go at work. So you're at least an hour and a half away. I'm like, all right. So I text you and I went, if I get stuck, will you pull me out? And your response was, I would drive days to pull you out just so I could say I pulled you out of somewhere. You get stuck, I'll be there. Wait, where are you? Can I come see? No. And I drove through and it was only like a few inches, but at the time you couldn't really see it. And that swells quite badly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's kind of like how our motto of how we work.
Yeah, brother and sister.
Absolutely. We're very much like brother and sister. So.
And you've driven his Jeep.
I've driven his Jeep.
Yeah.
You haven't driven mine, have you?
No.
You drove when she had stopped. Oh, gosh.
No. You rode in it and you're like, when does this thing turn?
So,
you have driven it. I was just saying, you've ridden in mine and you're impressed at how nice it is.
I am. I don't like borrowing other people's stuff.
That's when it breaks, by the way.
Gloves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and I ever since I was a teenager, if something was going to break, it would happen when I was doing it. It doesn't matter if I'm beating on it or not. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess
we're pretty much ready to sign off.
I would just say we should probably wrap this up. So we should go around and say some of the beers. You had 2 beers tonight.
It really pushed the boat out. Yeah. Had it was an IPA. It was an Imperial IPA, Zodiac, and then here's the Flying Monkeys.
Really cool can.
That's what sold me. And I don't know I think
now, is there a way that you can get the artwork off the cans? Because that would be so sweet. Because I bought a beer from LC that I don't want to drink because I like the artwork of the can. But I don't
that's
want
right. You sent me you showed me that can.
Yeah, I brought it over here. I'm like, no, I'm not drinking that.
What's to stop you from cutting it up?
Yeah, I guess you cut the top off, the bottom off, and
as long as you cut. I know this has writing sometimes, but if you cut it at the whatever the fault line, it would be flat.
I'll have to think about that. Well, anyways, what do you have?
Sorry, you had a Flying Monkeys.
Yeah, this one actually doesn't have sediment in it, so it was pretty good.
You have your juicy ass. I was drinking Simply Spiked tonight. I had a strawberry and a blueberry. It's a lemonade. It's really quite nice.
Ooh,
it's refreshing.
Started with the Le Café.
The Tim Hortons.
And then I got a beer from Junction Craft Brewery. It's a Pilsner. It's actually really nice.
Yeah, nice and light.
Yeah, nice and light.
Nice.
Easy drinking.
All right. So, you'll have to check us out on Spotify, YouTube. We're on Facebook and Instagram at WSOTR Jeeps, as well as our Facebook, our email and our website is wsotrjeeps.ca or at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Links in the bio, guys.
Yeah, and one thing, if anybody has any ideas for what they'd like to hear us talk about,
we're going to have a couple of guest speakers coming up hopefully soon, so we'll be organizing
we've got a few ideas, but we'd love to hear what everybody thinks.
Oh yeah, constructive criticism.
Or non-constructive. I'm not that fragile.
I'm pretty delicate, but I can take it.
We want to hear from you. Have a great night, guys.
See you.
Bye.